Hi guys, it's Grace from Grace Gets Gastric, and I am here today to do a video on my macros. So macros, how I'm tracking, all that kind of stuff. I've gotten a good amount of questions over the past 7.5 months, and a lot of people asking me just different questions about, you know, I've referenced my macros, my stats, etc. in different videos, and so people are just curious. And I know when I was pre-op and even when I was post-op, I was also really curious about kind of what other people were eating and like what their breakdown was, etc. So the first thing I want to just mention, of course, is that you should be following your surgeon's guidelines and recommendations for sure for that first year. So if your surgeon says something different than what mine does, follow your surgeon. Everyone's got a different plan, and the plans vary depending on which surgery you got. So I'm specifically talking about my surgeon's plan for me, having the VSG. Now, my surgeon only had one dietary requirement for me after surgery, not including like vitamins and stuff, but it's in terms of macros and stats and eating, the only thing that they told me was that they wanted me to get 80 grams of protein in. So 80 grams of protein is my minimum protein threshold that I hit every day. When we pressed them, there was a class and a lot of us were like, any other guidelines? And they didn't have any. For carbs, they said their recommendation is to keep it less than your protein. So if I'm getting 80 grams of protein in, I should be having less than 80 grams of carbs. As far as calories go, they didn't give me any specific numbers. I am 7.5 months post-op, so I've kind of changed things as I got along, so I'm really just talking about where I'm at right now. But for about 6 months, my 6-month appointment, they said most patients are between 1,000 and 1,200 calories, which is where I'm at. So, or like between 800 and 1,200 depending. So I'm at 1,000. So there we go. My calories that I shoot for are 1,000 calories a day. MyFitnessPal, I actually have it set to 1,003, I think, because I track my vitamins in MyFitnessPal, and I have a fish oil that is 5 calories, and I basically count that as a wash. I get those 5 calories in food. But 1,000 calories is the goal that I've given myself. I started to, lower, and I kind of inched up a little bit, and 1,000 I have found is a generally workable number for me. Most days that's a comfortable amount. Some days I eat a little more, some days I eat a little less, but 1,000 is a pretty good number for me. And then within that 1,000 calories, I have again more than 80 grams of protein. I actually upped that to 90, so I shoot for 90 grams of protein a day. That just gives me a bit of a buffer and make sure that I really am focusing on the protein, which is the what I want to focus on. For carbs, my personal goal is to stay under 50 net carbs. I think in MyFitnessPal it's something like 61 because I subtract the fiber from that. So usually if I stay under that 61, it usually means that I'm under 50 net. And then the fat is just whatever is left. I'm not really concerned about fat. I want to say it's like 36 or like 40. It's like between 35 and 45 grams of fat. I would say I'm like high protein and then low to moderate fat and carbs. And usually on high carb days, I'm lower fat and vice versa. But yeah, so that is kind of my focus, is that high protein. I also have a water goal, so the minimum is 64 ounces. I like to try to get at least 100 ounces in every single day. Usually I do that, so just make sure that I'm staying nice and hydrated. So yeah, those are my macros. That is my breakdown. As I mentioned earlier that I track on MyFitnessPal, so I use MyFitnessPal every single day to track the food that I'm eating and the water that I'm drinking, and sometimes even the exercise that I'm doing. I have the paid version. I paid for it for a year. In January when I got my surgery, I figured it was a nice gift for myself, and I would see how I liked it, because I've been using MyFitnessPal for years before then, off and on. you by no means need the paid version. I think the unpaid version works just fine. There are a number of features I personally really like about the paid version. I think I'll probably continue to get it because for how often I use it, $50 a year is, I get my money's worth. So one thing that I really like about the paid version is that it you can prevent it from adding in, or if you use MyFitnessPal and you have like a Fitbit or an Apple Watch linked, it will automatically subtract the, it'll add any calories that you burn from exercise back into your goal. So let's say I burn 300 calories from a workout. It'll now say that I actually get to eat 1,300 calories instead of 1,000. I don't want that to happen. And visually, I find that confusing because I do not believe that those are accurate, and I do not eat extra food to account for my workouts. So I like that I can remove that option so that it's not visually making me think that I get to eat more than I can. Because if I see that I have calories left, I will eat them. One of the other things is it lets you customize your macro ratio breakdown more completely. Like you can do it by like 1 to 2% more than just 5 increments of 5%. So I really like that just because I'm always constantly like tweaking it a little bit. So it just lets you see that. It also just shows you a better breakdown of what you're eating. So which foods in your day are the highest carb, what your meals are like. So yeah, there are a lot of cool features. You by no means need it. It is not at all necessary, but I do like the paid version. Like I said, I am on MyFitnessPal every single day. My diary is open, so if you want to click the link below, there's a link to MyFitnessPal. You can see what I'm eating. You can also friend me if you'd like. And I tend to track about a week in advance. So usually, like a week and a half, I start meal planning midweek for the next week because I have to go grocery shopping and then meal prep. And I usually input that at least the first day in, to get an idea to make sure that it's what I'm planning is going to fit within my ratios. And then once I actually make those meals on Sunday, because usually when I put a recipe into MyFitnessPal, there are usually a few tweaks that I end up making when I actually create the recipe. Maybe I end up swapping something. Maybe it actually ends up having an extra serving, so it's 10 instead of 9. But anyways, those usually update. So then I'll put it in for the whole week. And so I always know about a week ahead in advance what I'm planning to eat for all of my meals. And then of course I make adjustments throughout the week. Almost every single day has some kind of small tweak to it. And then I just make those as I go along. But I find it personally really helpful to input all of that information in advance, because then as the day goes, you don't have that excuse of like, I don't have the time to add everything at the end of the day. You already have most of it in there. You have to just update a little bit if you ended up changing something. So that is kind of a quick breakdown of where I'm at right now. Generally eating 1,000 calories a day, 90 grams of protein, less than 50 net carbs, over 100 ounces of water, and I'm tracking everything in MyFitnessPal. So this is kind of a quick video, a little bit all over the place. Sorry, I meant to take notes and then I did not. But I just wanted to put this out into the world, kind of like what I'm eating, how I'm eating at 7.5 months post-op. Have a great day, guys.